Let's start the show.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuned in from around the world. Welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner. That is me. And in just a moment, I'm going to introduce our very special guest for tonight's episode of the Happy Hour Show. Meanwhile, if you are tuning in right now, there's a few things that I need you to do. I need you to comment, love, share this video out because the Happy Hour Show is a personal development show all about helping you to grow personally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, professionally, all the different ways that you can personally develop yourself. So we're definitely going to be dropping all kinds of gems for you to incorporate into your life to help you improve in more ways than one. So comment, love, share this video out because if it's helpful for you, it's helpful for someone else on your timeline as well. And if you're tuned in live, then comment all the way live. And if you're catching the replay later on, we heart you. Comment replay all day, okay? Either way, let me know where you're tuned in from. Hopefully you have already grabbed your drink and you're ready to join the chat. And if you want to stay updated on all things Happy Hour Show, then make sure that you sign up for the VIP list, okay? Do that. You see it scrolling across the bottom of your screen at bit.ly/happy updates. That's bit.ly/happy updates so you can stay tuned on all things Happy Hour. Now, if you're staring at your screen or you're listening to your phone or wherever you're tuned in from and you're like, who is this crazy lady that is talking to me right now? My name is Lindsey Vertner, and I'm an award-winning peak potential strategist and transformational speaker, and mindset is my jam, okay? In 2007, I fully recovered from a fatal car wreck that left me brain dead and paralyzed. And so now it is a part of my purpose to help high-achieving women who struggle with things like perfectionism, overthinking, and doubt learn how to truly master their mindset and create their first-class life where they're increasing their connections, clarity, confidence, and ultimately their cash flow. So that is who I am. That is what I do. And I'm super excited to announce tonight's very special guest. And I hope that you are ready for her as well. Okay. So after I introduce her, make sure you're paying attention, taking notes, and make sure you put your questions in the comments so that she can answer those live later on in the show. All right. So without further ado, let me introduce Miss Telishia Berry. She is the publisher of Courageous Woman Magazine and its spin-off publications, Courageous Men Magazine and Authors Who Launch Magazine. She is the recipient of many awards, including the Women in Power Award, Phenomenal Women Award, Resolution Award, Publishing Excellence Award, and Best Media Platform Award. Like, she's got accolades, okay? The year 2021 actually marks 10 years of publishing for Telishia. She's published over 1,000 stories with over 100 cover stories with people like Vanessa Bell Calloway, Wendy Raquel Robinson, Vikki Winans, Jody Watley, Claressa Shields, Oleta Adams, Vivica Fox, and so many more. Y'all see, I'm excited, right? So she is an author and publisher herself as well. And without further ado, just let me go ahead and introduce tonight's guest, Miss Telishia Berry.
Hey, Lindsey.
How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on this amazing show.
Yes, absolutely happy to have you. Now, I know we're going to talk about all the amazing things you do a little bit later on in this show. I just kind of touched barely the tip of the iceberg of your resume. But before we get into that, I want you to take the folks back, okay? Peel back the layers and let us know, who is Miss Berry really? Like, where you come from? Give us the good tea, okay?
Well, I am Telishia Berry, publisher of Courageous Woman magazine, an inspirational publication that highlights extraordinary women. But before all of that, I was just Lisa from the hood, okay? I'm just a girl from Flint, Michigan. Live in California now, but I'm just a girl that grew up in a small town and had a lot of great opportunities. I started my life, I always say, on stage as an actress. I sang with a girl group. I played drums. I had a lot of great experiences in my life and a lot of things that, as far as writing, I've always written something. My grandmother, I was the only child raised by my grandmother, and I like to keep up a lot of noise. And she said, you know what? I don't know why you keeping up so much noise. It's just you. It seems like it's a lot of kids in here. It's just you. Why don't you get somewhere and be quiet? Why don't you get a pencil and write? And I'm like, what do you want me to write, Grandma? She said, I don't care. Just be quiet. So I began to write poems, and they formed into short stories, and so that's where I really got a love for writing. So I kind of delved into it a little bit more. I wrote my first play in the 7th grade.
Wow.
And then from there, I decided, after acting and being in community theater, that I wanted to take that a step further. I had Hollywood dreams and wanted to go to Hollywood. So I got opportunities to travel around the country performing, and then took some time to produce and direct my own productions that traveled around the country. Then I got kids who got the bug. My son's an actor, a professional actor, and we moved to California when he was 12. And he's been on television. He's 30 now. And I don't know how he's 30 and I'm only 40, but
hey, it's the laws of black physics, okay?
Right.
We don't complain.
He's still acting. People know him from he played Jabari on the TV show Girlfriends. I played a lot of things, but that's one thing that people really remember, Girlfriends. So it's been a journey and an experience. I am a mom of 4, a divorced mom. So it's been a journey, but God is good. And I am elated to be here and, celebrating 10 years of publishing Courageous Woman magazine.
Congratulations.
I literally started a publication with $30. So I love to tell the story of women who, I was at a point in my life, I was restarting, after going through a separation and headed to a divorce. I had that energy. I'm like, okay, God, it's time for me to get my dreams done. And I looked at my account after one of my friends told me, you're going to need about $30,000. And I was like, I know God told me to do this, and I'm a believer, and I believe when God gives you something that you can make it happen. All you got to do is make those certain moves that God called you. He called you. He's going to make provision for you. Yes. And so I looked at my account, and I only had $30. But I found a way to take that and parlay it and create a publication that we distribute our first issue with 4,000 copies in our community in Flint, Michigan. And that has been a blessing. And we're here 10 years, still doing Courageous Woman magazine.
Yes, I can't wait to dissect that story just a little bit more. But before I get into all that, I noticed that you said you were raised by your grandmother. So tell us how that came about, because usually when we think of a family, we think of like a mom, a dad, a baby. And so how did that come about that you ended up being raised by your grandmother?
Well, my parents were teenagers, and just naturally, my grandmother just took to me, and I took to her, and so she became my mom, and I love her to pieces. She passed away in 2020, but she's still with me. She's still guiding me, and like she always had during her life here on Earth. She was an amazing woman, very motivational, inspirational, and was always there. Everything that I did, I was in everything at school. She was there, her and my grandfather. And so I love and I miss her dearly. But yeah, she was just the staple in my life.
So were your parents actually still in the home with you, or were they in a separate home?
My mom was there. My mom was there for
Mm-hmm.
a while. Yeah, she was there. My father was not, but like I said, they were young, and thank God for grandparents. I commend all the grandparents who take care of their kids. Their kids, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just a special. It was just a special relationship that we had, and even my mother. I still had a great relationship with my mother and my father as well. But it's something about those grandmothers, and today I'm a grandmother. you
Mm-hmm.
know I don't have to raise my child, my child's child, but it's a joy, for that next generation. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I do want to talk about that just a little bit more because I know that there are a lot of people that weren't necessarily raised by their mom and dad. And even though your mom was still in the home and you had that connection with her, you mentioned that you just really connected with your grandma a lot. So, how was that growing up, with the teen mom as a parent and then basically having your grandma raising you? How did that form, like who you were as a child?
Well, they were devout Christians, and that was the foundation of our home. My grandfather was a Baptist teacher. Everybody say he missed his calling to preach. He said, "No, I didn't. I'm out here. I'm gonna teach the word of God." And so they instilled those principles and morals in me. So going to church was just that was just part of our life. And actually, I attributed. The Baptist Junkie, my first novel, to my family and my grandparents. They're all characters in the book. A lot of people I grew up with, a lot of people in the church I grew up with. But yeah, the Baptist Junkie really tells my family story based on
Mm,
real people. Hmm.
okay, okay. So I know that you said that your grandmother pushed you to write because she wanted you to be quiet.
Yes.
So as you were growing up, was that your desire once you started writing? Were you just like, okay, I really want to do something with this? Did you find it was hard to find what your purpose was with that? Or how did you go about finding your purpose?
Having to sit there and doodle or write or whatever she said, just be quiet. It just really helped me, find that purpose. And I had just a love for writing poems, and then discovered later that my mom was also a writer. My grandmother was also a writer. So, growing up as a kid, at Easter and Christmas time, they would write my speeches for church, and her sister would get together and they're on the phone gossiping, but they were writing speeches that had nothing to do with Christmas or Easter. But so I was like a 5-year-old comedian. So I would stand up in front of the church at 5 years old because my grandmother was acting like Joe Jackson and making sure that I memorized these speeches. And then after church, people would say, how did you memorize that? Oh, that's my grandmother. I literally had to stand up every day and memorize the poems and speeches that she wrote. And so it just became a part of my life, and writing, and even sharing things with my mother and things that she would write. And my mother was a fan of Donald Going, so I read all those books. And so that's what really fueled the Baptist Junkie, the first novel. So it's like the
Mhm.
church meet the streets. So that's kind of the starting point. I carried that story in my spirit for a long time before I actually wrote it.
So for those viewers and listeners that, are dabbling in the writing space, what tips or advice would you give to them? Maybe just to get their thoughts out or, make their writings cohesive.
I'd say definitely journal. Journal, write something every day. Hone the craft. If you're serious about writing, I did go to school, so I did get an opportunity to, take a lot of writing courses. Even in college, I used up all my electives on writing classes that my counselor was like, "How did you do all these writing classes?" And I was like, "I don't know." They said, "You wasn't supposed to do all of this many." I'm like, "Well, you can't take them back. Like, you can't take them back now. I got it in here now." So I'd say definitely, if it's something that you're serious about, get the information. I tell everybody, just study the craft of writing. It's really a craft, and you have to learn. Even now, I'm going back into the Baptist Junkie. I rewrote that as a screenplay. And so now in doing the web series, I'm going back to my playwriting days. So it's kind of the same, but a little different. But I study. Everything I do, I study. I believe in studying and getting the information. So yeah, get that information.
I think that's good to point out that no matter what you like to do, it's important that you hone your skills, that you practice your craft, even when it comes naturally. All the great speakers still have speaking coaches and take speaking classes. All the great writers still take writing classes and practice. Singers still have vocal coaches. Well, I mean, some of them need it, but even the greatest singers still had vocal coaches and vocal exercises that they had to do. And so no matter what it is that you love to do, it's very important that you practice and you really, hone in your skills so that you could just fully walk in that gift.
Absolutely.
If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner. That's me and our very beautiful guest, Miss Telishia Berry. She is the editor-in-chief of Courageous Woman magazine. Yes, yes, yes. And they are in their 10 years of publication. We're so honored to have her on the show. And I think that right now is a great time to play a little game that I call...
What's in your cup?
Yes. If you are new to the Happy Hour Show, this is the part of the show where we find out what's in your cup. So first we will have our guest share what she's sipping on her side of the world, and then she'll give us a little cup cam. I'll share what I'm sipping on, and you at home watching and listening, put down in the comments what you are sipping on, okay? And this is hashtag no judgment zone. So whether you got a healthy drink or you got a little extra ingredient in your drink, that is A-okay with us on the Happy Hour Show. We all family here. And if unfortunately you forgot to grab your drink, I don't know what you was thinking, but it's okay. It's okay. Put what you wish you were sipping on down in the comments. So Miss Berry, tell us what's in your cup.
Well, right now, I thought about some sangria, but I didn't. I thought about some orange juice, Kool-Aid, lemonade, but actually I'm trying to increase my water intake. So it's agua. It's water for sure.
Hey, we need water every day, right? So give us a little cup cam. Hold it up to the camera. Up a little bit. Up a little bit. There we go. Single, married, building my empire.
Yes. Single scratched off, married scratched off, building my empire. That's what I'm thinking about these days.
Yes. I love it. And over here, I don't know if my regulars can tell in my voice, but I've been a little under the weather here. And so I like to have a party in my cup, but taking it a healthy manner in my first class fly mug here.
Yes, I love it.
Yes. And so it is excuse me. See, look, some lavender and chamomile tea sweetened with a little bit of honey over here. So that is what I'm having in my cup to help, parch my throat a little bit. And then over here in the comments, Miss Renette has Stella Rose. Okay, drinking the wine, drinking the wine.
I love
And
me some
Miss
Stella
Cynthia,
Rose.
Miss Cynthia is drinking sparkling water. Ooh, fancy. And yes, let's get back into this conversation. So you mentioned that you were in theater, you got into acting, you did your writing and all of those things. And so, what made you want to be in theater? Did that also come as a result of being with your grandmother and her having you recite the poems and the plays? And
I think so, not directly. She didn't directly. My grandparents were from the South. They didn't really know anything about theater. However, I got the experience, in high school, and or prior to high school, actually. I think I was 12 when I started in theater, and I took a dance class, and I walked into the acting class, and I'm like, wow, they just let me stay, and so I had to do an audition for the class, and I still love my teacher to this day. She made me sing a song to get in the class, and it was Michael. It was no, it was Dear Michael, that was sung by Kim Fields, and you were supposed to sing a little bit, but she made me sing the whole song, and so that was the start. And I enjoyed acting more so because I dealt with a lot of things as a kid, and it helped me to come out or help me to get away from a lot of things because I was able to play other characters and other roles. And so that's what really, really, I really loved about being in acting as a child.
So, what were some of those things that you were trying to get away from?
Well, just, personal issues with, being raised by my grandparents. I really didn't miss anything, but I think every kid wants that relationship with their parents. And I didn't have the traditional relationship. And I guess I wanted that. And there were a lot of issues behind that. And so I was, always trying to, make do or get away from certain situations or, and the acting and being in theater just helped me out a lot. And it just, helped me blossom as a young lady. It helped me, discover the arts, and I love them to this day. And all of my kids are in the arts.
So, what advice would you give to the viewers and listeners that are trying to identify what their purpose is in life?
You know what? Sometimes our purpose is right there. You know what I mean? The things you're involved in, the things that you're it may be something that's part of your job or part of something that you absolutely love to do. Sometimes your purpose is right there. It's right within you. And sometimes you just have to move on those things that you're thinking about, that you want to do. Sometimes for me, things just hang on my shoulders. Like, okay, what is this about? Like, it's just sitting there. Like, you don't forget about it. It was part of my purpose. It's part of things that I wanted to do that was just not going away. And it's time to do it. It's like, when I'm dealing with producing and directing, like it never went away. So now I know that it's time to move forward in that.
Oh, do you ever have any fears whenever it is time to make that move forward in whether it's a different direction or something you've been kind of scared to pursue?
Girl, yes. It's always fear. Like, especially now going back into something that I did, 20, 30 years ago, and even on another level now, like it is scary. And I do have fears, but I know, God did not give me no fear. So I gotta move forward. And I know that if it's something that He gave me and ideas and even the storylines, it's time to move. I can't be afraid to do it. I have to leap. And so that's what I encourage women to do is just go for it. Like, don't be scared. Just jump, just leap, just do it.
Yes, just do it. And I think that's important for the viewers and listeners to know is that fear never goes away. And so we have to do it despite the fear. We have to do it anyway, do it afraid, do it scared, because it doesn't go away. Like, that's a natural human emotion instinct that's made to protect you. But here's the thing, our brain tries to protect us from everything, especially the unknown, because it doesn't know how that's going to affect you. And your brain wants to keep you alive. And so we have to make fear work for us instead of allowing fear to control our lives. And we have to do it despite being scared. I can think back earlier this year on January 1st when I started a devotional room. I was scared to death. I don't lead devotionals. That's not my ministry, right? I was scared to death to do that, but I did it anyway. And then just the blessings, not only from me, but from everybody that was connected to that room, that came just because I was obedient and I walked and I had made a move despite being scared, despite not having the blueprint, despite not having the manual, the game plan, not knowing how it was going to end. And so I think that is an important message for everyone listening, that you just have to do it afraid. And you
And
said
who knew
something
you were
earlier,
scared?
right?
Who knew you were scared? Anyway, I came to that room several times. I couldn't tell. I could not tell that you were scared. You were running that. And I got a lot out of coming to that room. So, it was a blessing for me. So, yeah, who knew you were scared? Whoever knows that we're scared when we do things. I mean, like, I had $30. Like, I should have been buying some tacos or something. You know what I mean? I was a single mom. I didn't have what he said I needed $30,000. I didn't have that, but I believed. And so I took what I had and created what I needed to make it happen. So you got to do it scared. You never know. I mean, if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know anything about Courageous Woman. I wouldn't even be here if I hadn't done it scared.
And you said something earlier about, like, if God gives it to you, he's going to give you the provisions that you need. And so I love that you just brought that back up again so we could circle back around, because you had $30. Like, if I had a dime for every time somebody was like, oh, I don't got the money to do this, or I don't have blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, start with what you have.
Yes, absolutely. Start with what you have. Start with where you are. A lot of times people don't want to do something because they're thinking, I'm going to relocate in a few years. I'll do it then, or I'll start when I get some more money. I'll start when I get my degree. I'll start when I, make some other changes in my life. No, start right now, right where you are.
Or they say, I'll start whenever the kids go off to college, or, it's always an excuse. And it's like, really you have to ask yourself, okay, how bad do you really want it? Because guess what? Whenever you get the money, something else is going to come up. Whenever you move, something else is going to come up. When the kids go to school, something else is going to come up. Like, life is always going to happen. And so at some point, you just have to start. And so tell us a little bit more about that journey. You started with $30. The people said you needed $30,000. Like, walk us through those moments right then.
I just was not, I was just in a point in my life, like, it's just do or die. Like, my kids would always say to me, Mom, go big or go home, because I would say that to them. So when I got into this situation, they was like, no, Mom, go big or go home. And I was like, gosh, like trying to bring it back to me. I'm the mama here.
Right. Now you want to listen.
But and they watched me. I had to do it. I had no choice but to go forward. I couldn't go backwards. I couldn't go, I couldn't go around it. I had to go through whatever I had to go through to make it happen. And I did it scared. Almost blind, like, okay, what's next? So I literally, my son had been working with me creating design. I was making business cards, so I knew a little bit about graphic design. I couldn't, with $30, I couldn't afford to go get a graphic designer to make my brochures. So I made them myself. And I went out into the community. I went and got like 10 copies. So I went out to the community. And when I got to my last one, I said, I'll email it to you. And so once I got that first, advertiser, then I was able to buy more brochures, and, I had paperwork, and, it was just a journey. It was just a time period in my life. I call it my superhero, super mom, time period, because I had went back to Michigan to restart my life. And I went back to work in the medical field. And I hadn't worked in the medical field. I've been an entrepreneur. So I hadn't worked in the medical field 15 years. And so they said, you know what? It's like spaghetti. Just throw everything out there. I had to get a job. Okay. So, but I had no fear. I had to do what I needed to do. I had left a situation with one suitcase and a child that I had to make it happen. Okay. And so I worked as a phlebotomist. I was on call. I got this awesome job where I was mobile. And during the day, I would go out and talk about Courageous Woman with my corporate gear, my earrings, my jewelry, and talk about Courageous Woman. Second shift, it's time to put on your scrubs and go take care of your patients. And I will pull into the parking lot of McDonald's. And I said, I hope there's no cameras in here, because I'm about to change my clothes right here in the parking lot in my car. So I had my scrubs in my back seat, and I had a little caddy that had all my supplies. I took off my heels and threw it in the back seat, put on my nursing my Oxfords and my scrubs, and I went and took care of my patients. So that was my life for a minute. But I just knew that even though I love doing that kind of work and I love my patients, I knew that was temporary, that God was elevating me. But I had to go through that's part of my story. I had to go through some things. I had to be courageous, so.
Yes. And I hope everyone is picking up on that nugget, because you went back to work after, you said, being out for 15 years, being an entrepreneur, and you did what you had to do. And it might not have been comfortable the whole time. Like, you were okay with being uncomfortable so that you can follow your dreams, because, sometimes we might go backwards just a little bit, but it's so that we can propel forward. And think about like a bow and arrow.
Oh my God, that is what my mentor, Apostle Tiffany Baker, said to me. Wow. She said, because I didn't want to leave California and go back to Michigan and all of that. And she said, no, you got to restart. It's like a bow and arrow. You got to pull back to get a good running start. And I tried until I got that. You know what I mean? I got it. I'm like, okay. And so I had no problem with the restart. It was hard. It was hard. I mean, I've been married 20 years. So I had to do a restart real quick and just get out of my head. I had to change my thinking. That was the number one thing. I had to change my thinking to know that God was with me, that I was capable, that I was smart, that I was intelligent, that God was with me. He said, go forward and be courageous.
Yes.
So I had to do it. That's it.
Yes, that you were capable. You were capable. And so, what advice would you give to the viewers and listeners that may be going through a divorce or a breakup right now, and they're scared to just kind of like pull it back like that bow and arrow?
Well, I just tell every woman I know, pray and make sure that you're making a decision that you have to make. I don't tell anybody or encourage anybody to leave a marriage. Everybody has their own situation. I had my own situation that I stayed and left until I made the decision. But it was my decision that I wanted better, and I wanted free in my mind. I didn't want to go to jail. I wanted some peace, and that you cannot buy. And so that was a decision that I had to make finally. And I didn't look back. So I encourage women to, first of all, pray. And that was the number one thing that I did. And I asked God for help. And he sent me help in the form of women of God. And I would meet women in the grocery store. They're like, girl, how you doing? And you never know what somebody's feeling in that day when you just say, how you doing? How
Yes.
are you today? I would just meet people like, who are these people? And they would pray for me. Some of them would befriend me, and I'm still friends with a lot of them to this day. And they encouraged me. They prayed with me. They were all women of God. So I called them my soldiers because they came for me and they
Mm,
prayed for me and they pushed me out and said, now it's time for you to go and be courageous. Go and
yeah.
support and help some other women. So I've been on that journey doing that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. On the last episode, I believe we talked about, well, one of the last couple episodes about just the power of the tongue to speak life or death. And not only for ourselves, because you did mention mindset, which I'm all for mindset. That's my jam right there. But before we hop over into that, just understanding that not only are the things that you think and the words that you speak important for yourself, but also being mindful of what you're speaking to other people. Because, like you said, people just saying, girl, how are you today? Like, just what that did for you and how that built the relationship, because you never know what people are going through at home or behind the scenes. Like, even if they tell you all their business, you never really truly know all of the details at
Mhm.
work or at home or in a relationship, or whatever it is they have going on in their life. And so your kind words might be the very thing that just keeps them going a little bit longer as they're building up that strength to do for themselves and to turn around and help other people as well.
It was so many days that I was so low, and there was just one person that said, "Hey, girl, how you doing?" You know what I mean? And it was just, I knew that it was God. He sent them for me because I asked for help.
Mm, yeah, yeah. That reminds me of one time I was in the grocery store, and I didn't know this woman. Like, I'm just walking and I'm having a good day, so I'm just smiling, bubbly mood. And I turned the aisle, and there was this lady standing in the aisle looking at the groceries, and I just smiled at her. And it wasn't no like no fake smile. Like, I gave her a real, genuine smile. And how excited she got. Like, I didn't say any words, I didn't compliment her. I just smiled. And she got so excited.
Mhm.
And then she thanked me afterwards. And just the impact that that singular moment that literally took not even a split second of my time, how it impacted her, and how she said like it really improved her mood. Like, I had no clue what that lady may or may not have been going through, and just for her to be impacted that deeply, that only further ingrained that we have to be kind to each other, because
Mhm.
you never know, and something as simple as smiling at someone could really make or break their day.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, over here in the comments, Amore says, hello, ladies.
Hello.
And Renette says, that is why I try to be kind to all that I come in contact with.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you never, never know what people are going through. So you mentioned mindset was something that you really had to make sure that you had in the right place as you were being courageous to step out on your own. And you went back to work, you wanted to start your magazine, leaving your marriage and your divorce and things like that. And so what were some things that you had to overcome in your mindset to get you to that point?
Excuse me. Well, just the normal day-to-day life. I was a mom of four and a wife, and what, if you're a wife, what those duties are. And life was changing for me, and I had to accept that and get into my mind that it's going to be a new day. It's going to be a better day. It's going to be a better new day. Okay. And so I had to change my mindset in, you know, to positive things and not think about the negative things that were going on in my life. And, you know, even went to counseling. You know, I went to counseling. I am, you know, I'm all for women going to counseling. A lot of times, you know, us as African Americans, we don't believe in the counseling. That, you know, it's the best thing that happened to me is going to counseling. I went to several counselors, so it definitely helped me. And just being me personally, being a spiritual person, a God woman, so I definitely was at the church house when the doors open, you know, Bible study. You know, I needed to get my mind into the Word of God. And so when I got my mind into the Word of God, that is what definitely calmed me and made me understand, you know, what I was going through. It was, you know, it was going to be okay. Bottom line, it was going to be okay. But it was just a period of things that I had to go through, and it was hard. I went through a lot. I'm smiling today, but I had a lot of days that I had to wipe them tears and talk to myself and tell myself that it was going to be okay. And I had to say, you know, encourage myself. You don't have anybody else in your life to encourage. You got to encourage yourself. You got to pray on yourself, you know. And I encouraged myself, and I had to say, girl, like I was my sister, get yourself together, which is the title of my next book, Girl, Get Yourself Together. So because I had to talk to myself through all of it. And sometimes you have to do that, you know.
Yes, yes. Over here in the comments, Miss Queenie says, Telishia made my day because I needed her positivity in my life. She has me living my best life on working on my autobiography. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
If we're going to talk about what she's doing in the publishing space in just a moment, but that is so, so true because where our focus goes, our energy flows. And so if we're focused on positive things, then, you know, positivity tends to happen around us. But when we're focused on negative things and on complaining and on lack and all the things that we don't have, we only see more things to complain about. And so we have to be mindful of where we're spending our focus. We have to be mindful of the thoughts that we're thinking, of the words that we're saying, because it's shaping the reality that we live in. And so I love that you said, listen, if you don't got nobody to encourage you, you got to work on encouraging yourself as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, yes. If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour show with Lindsey Vertner. That's me and our very beautiful guest, Miss Telishia Berry. She is the editor-in-chief of Courageous Woman magazine. Listen, it is phenomenal, and congratulations to being 10 years in publication. And if you're just tuning in, listen, you're going to have to make sure you go back and watch the replay, okay? But still, comment, love, and share this video out because you never know who needs the encouraging words on the Happy Hour show because this is your personal development show. But we like to have a little fun, okay? We helping you get your life together while we having fun, and we keep it real and raw. And Miss Berry has already dropped some gems. And so, speaking of dropping gems, you do that in the publishing space day in and day out. And so tell us, how did you get into media? Because, you know, you mentioned that you love to write already. Your grandma got you into writing, and then you got into acting and theater and things like that. And so how did you get into doing media?
Well, it kind of went hand in hand with starting the publication. A lot of women were looking for opportunities to get exposure and visibility. And that was part of my educational background anyway, it was communication. So I learned a lot about PR and marketing and all those things. And it kind of just went together. And so that's what we offer women who are looking to promote their product, services, or a book. That's what we do, is help them get that visibility. So we have a lot of opportunities for women, you know, that when they're looking for marketing and promotional opportunities, as well as when they're ready to write their story. We will help you get your book done and published.
Now, do you remember who was your very, very first cover girl?
I do. It was Stacy Lattisaw. I don't know if you remember. She's an artist. I don't know if you might be too young, but it was Stacy Lattisaw. She was a singer. She had quite a few songs with Johnny Gill
Mm-hmm.
in the 80s. And she was a Facebook friend. And I said, you know what? I'm going to call her. I said, I'm not gonna be scared. What can she say? No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I called her up and she answered, and I said, "Can I tell you a story?" I know she had a phenomenal story, and because she left the entertainment industry years ago, and so I knew she had an awesome story. And she said yes. And we had a phenomenal conversation. I actually still have that recording of that conversation. And she was my very first cover girl.
So, what tips would you give to somebody that is wanting to get into the media themselves?
I would say, like I tell anybody in anything, study, get the information. There, uh, Google, YouTube University. There's some information. Or take some college courses. I took a lot of courses, and so it is. The information is out there, and just have a heart and believe there's something that you want to do. Just go for it.
Nice, nice. So, what did you have like any unexpected cover girls? Like, what I mean by unexpected, like they just came out the blue. They weren't on your radar, or it just like fell in your lap, like literally landed. It was unexpected, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this worked out." Have you ever had any cover stories like that?
Absolutely. We've had a lot of women who have started their businesses like I did with nothing and became, six-figure queens, as well as celebrities that, their publicists just out of nowhere, just from seeing some of the other work that we've done, just called me up and said, "Hey, you want so-and-so on your cover?" I'm like, "Yeah." So and sometimes I've had other women. Dr. Liddell is my girl. She is our editorial manager. So sometimes it's just her and I just talking about who we'd like to be on the cover, and we reach out to them. So this year we've had Monique, we've had Cheryl Lee Ralph, we've had Jody Watley 2 times, we've had Vanessa Bell Calloway, we've had my homegirl from Flint boxing, 2-time Olympic gold medalist Claressa Shields. We've had Pamela McGee, who is now the mom. Her and her son are both Olympic gold medalists. And so we've had some phenomenal women. And sometimes it was just at that time, a phone call or something like that. It was just, it's been an awesome journey.
Yes, yes. So, what is next on the horizon for Miss Telishia Berry?
Well, definitely, courageous woman. That is my baby. We're gonna keep on rolling, and we have some awesome things coming up, including some awards. And but I am looking to get back into my first love is writing more. I have a
Mhm.
couple books coming out. We have a couple more anthologies. I love sharing women's stories in the anthology. Absolutely, that's my favorite thing to do. I think it's important for women to share their stories. But for me, as a writer, I've always wanted to see. I've seen my work on stage across the country, but now I want to see it on the screen. So
Ooh,
that's for me.
yes.
That's the big thing for me. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I love it. So I have a signature question that I have to ask all of my happy hour guests because I am all about creating your first class life. And what that means is that you're intentional about creating happiness in every moment that you can. It means you're intentional about walking in your God-given purpose and creating that living legacy. You're intentional about shedding away those masks that we put on when we wake up in the morning, the mask of fear, shame, doubt, all of those ugly things that we pretend and we hide behind. And, just being authentically you, bold and flaws and all. And so I have to ask you, How do you intentionally create happiness in your life?
You know what? It's just about taking it. Sometimes, our schedules are so busy and we say we can't do this and we don't have time for this. It's like, take it. Like Thursdays is my self-care fun day. I can't wait to this Thursday because I will be on the beach. Okay. All
Hey.
these beaches out here in California, one of them I will be on this Thursday with my pop-up tent, with my lounge chairs. I will be there, just celebrating life. I'm a survivor of COVID. I'm just grateful to be alive. I'm just, it's all about finding your happy place. That's this pillow. I actually bought this pillow. It says on it. I don't know if you can see it. This is
This
my
is
happy place. This is my happy place. And
nice.
so I everything reflects around finding peace and happiness because you can't buy it. You have to
Mhm.
create it. You have to make it. You have to make that space for yourself.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That is correct. And that's why it's so important because, it takes the same amount of energy to be miserable as it does to be happy. And I don't think so many people understand that. It's like all that energy you put into complaining and pouting, you could be using that same
Hmm.
energy to
Hmm.
be,
Hmm.
making yourself smile or finding the joy, like even amongst the obstacles. That doesn't mean that we don't have bad days and troubling days and things like that. But I'll use today for an example. Today was my uncle's funeral, but yet there was laughter and there were smiles because we have to find the joy at every moment. And then just having the family together, you got my other uncle cracking jokes and all of this other stuff. And it was just a really good time. And so we are able to find the happiness in every moment whenever we choose to seek it out. And then when we do that and we focus on it, we attract more happiness into our life and it becomes easy peasy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, do you have any final words of advice or encouragement that you want to leave the viewers and listeners with?
Well, you know what? Like you said, it's just finding that space for you, finding that happy place, finding your purpose, and whatever you want to do, even if you're scared, do it anyway. Just go for it. Because I don't think either of us would be here today had we not had some fear, but we did whatever we wanted to do anyway.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you heard it here first, folks. All right. Make sure you connect with Miss Telishia Berry, editor in chief of Courageous Woman magazine and Courageous Men magazine. You can check out her website, courageouswomanmag.com, and tell them where they can find you on social media. How can they connect with you?
You can connect with me at courageouswomanmag.com. If you got a question or want to be part of the Courageous Woman magazine, you can email me at info@courageouswomanmag.com. Follow us on Instagram at Courageous Woman Magazine. It's an underscore after each word. And also on Facebook at our page is Courageous Woman Magazine.
There you go. And if you want to be highlighted in her magazine, then make sure you reach out and she can give you the details on what that looks like. It is an awesome magazine. And as you heard, she has a lot of phenomenal people that are always featured in there. And we are just glad that she was able to be on the show today. And then also, we're glad that you listening at home were able to tune in because I know you could be doing anything in the world right now, but you have spent the last happy hour here with myself and Miss Alicia, and that I do not take lightly. And we are truly grateful for you sharing your time with us. And so make sure that you stay updated on all things happy hour by signing up for VIP updates at bit.ly/happy updates. Again, that is bit.ly/ Happy updates. Renette says, and the celebration of my brother was wonderful. I was so full of joy today. Love you. Oh, yes. It was awesome. Thanks for tuning in. And with that, we are here every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern as we wrap up season 3 in September. So make sure you sign up for updates and make sure you tune in and grab your drinks and join the chat. Bye, everyone.
Bye.